So that's how I made that choice, which I considered paramount. Now, on to the rest of the choices that you're going to need to make if you're traveling. So, when you want to go on the train, so that makes picking a flight relatively easy, doesn't it? You just take however many days you want to have in your embarkation port and however many days you want to have at your debarkation port, in this case, Denver and San Francisco. Pick a flight that gets you there in that amount of time. You may want to allow some wiggle room in that. Sometimes a flight on Tuesday is less than a flight on Sunday, stuff like that. But typically, unless you're going to go several days in either direction, you don't see much change in prices. And the way I fly, usually the prices are pretty static. I typically fly, and it's no surprise if you've watched any of my videos, I've said this before, Southwest Airlines. Now, I do not get sponsored by Southwest Airlines in any way, shape, or form. I just happen to like that airline. Do they have flight delays? Yeah. Do they have canceled flights? Yeah. Do they have surly customers and employees? Sometimes they sure do. Has there ever been misconnections or lost luggage on Southwest Airlines? Yeah, there has. But they also have a couple of things that I particularly like, and that makes me always go with Southwest Airlines if I can. And they are, number one, first, no charge for the first 2 bags or for my carry-ons. Now, why do I care about this? I really don't know, because I never have more than 1 checked bag anyway, and I always try to get it down lighter and lighter and less because I don't like dragging that thing around. But if I should want 2 bags, I'm glad that I have the availability, and I don't like being nickeled and dined to death when I'm flying. I like to look at a price on an airplane flight and know that's what it costs and not get to the final page and like, now, did you want to bring any clothes with you on your trip, or were you planning on just wearing the same thing for the next 7 days? Because if you're going to change clothes, we're going to have to charge you another $50. Really? Really? I don't, really? Okay, let me quickly digress away from that. I could harp on that all day long. I felt the rant coming on. I'm going to digress. The other thing I really like about Southwest is there is no change fee for changing your flight. Now, if the price of the ticket's gone up, or you choose a more expensive time to fly, a more expensive day, yeah, you're going to have to pay the difference in the ticket price, but there's no change fee. And that has been a lifesaver for me time and time and time again, because I can book a flight and then go back later if I want to adjust it, if I want to move the day or the time, typically the day. As recently happened, I'm going on a trip coming up in August to Star Wars to try out their 2-day live action adventure on the Disney Halcyon Star Wars Star Cruiser. Did I say I'm going to Star Wars? I think I did. I'm going to Disney in August, but primarily for the Star Wars Halcyon Star Cruiser. I've got it on the brain. I'm so excited, you guys. But let me tell you, that trip changed I don't know how many times. I started off, I'm going to, I get on the cruiser from Tuesday to Thursday. So I'm going to get there on Monday. I'm going to leave on Friday. I'm just going for that. No. That it grew and grew and grew. I mean, it's a 50th anniversary, you guys, and they've got new stuff at Epcot, and I want to go here too. It grew and grew and grew. I changed my flight from getting there on Monday to getting there on Sunday, getting there on Saturday, getting there finally on Friday. I swear to you, it's frozen now. I'm leaving on Friday, the 12th of August, but I changed it that many times, and I changed the day I was leaving from leaving on Friday to leaving on Saturday. That is also frozen. That's been frozen for a while. I did freeze it on Saturday, but you can see every time if I were going to try to change my flight on most other airlines, hell, I'd owe them for a whole nother ticket. So on Southwest, it makes it incredibly easy. That's why I love them. That's why I still fly them. I know that at some point, some dumbass CEO is going to take over at Southwest, and they're going to change that, and they're going to ruin it for everybody and everyone. I'm looking at you, Disney, just to have some short-term profit gain to bonus out at the end of the year, sacrificing decades of customer goodwill. Yeah, I know that's going to happen. But for now, let's luxuriate in the fact that Southwest does still care about keeping their customers, and we do have that benefit, which I love, absolutely love it. Lastly, tied to flying, once I've picked that flight, and I'm going to tell you real quick when it comes to picking the flight, I would say I do typically try to go early, less chance of it being screwed up. And that has nothing to do with this summer of chaos 2022. It has to do with I've always tried to fly out a little bit early. There is less chance of it screwing up along the way. And if it does screw up, you have more of the day to kind of catch up to get to where you're trying to go. I don't need to say this. I'm sure you want to do it too. You're probably like, Jason, you are preaching to the choir now. Yeah. try to get a nonstop flight, even if it's a little more expensive. Again, you can't, well, unless you crash. Knock on wood. Knock on wood, right? I can't believe that even fell in my mouth. But unless you crash, you're probably going to get to where you're going if you're on a nonstop flight. Failing that on Southwest, I will take a flight also that isn't technically nonstop, but you don't change planes. The plane just lands and people get on and off kind of like a bus, and then you go on to your destination. So I will definitely also choose those sort of flights. Again, less chance of things screwing up unless you crash. Lastly, tied to flying, what I do is I look into what transportation options are available, either from the airport to my hotel or to the airport from my hotel, and especially when it is a brand new airport. Now, in the case of both Denver and San Francisco, they have quick and convenient and efficient rail lines that run from their major airport or airports to their city cores, right? Their city centers. Oklahoma City, take note. We sure could use something like that right now in Oklahoma City. You can't even really get to our city center by bus. I think it takes 2 hours or something. So that really just leaves you with your one option that a lot of airports do have, and that is Uber or taxis or Lyft or something like that. Now, oftentimes too, there will be a sort of airport shuttle, we'll call it. Say like out in Disney at Orlando, Mears and Sunshine Express. They're new. I haven't got their name down yet. But the Mears Transport Group and Sunshine Express both run shuttles from Orlando International Airport to the various Disney World resorts. And I assume Universal. I haven't checked for Universal, but I would guess Universal. Hell, maybe SeaWorld and stuff too. Who knows? But I do think they go to Universal as well as Disney. So you have those sort of options. They are typically more expensive than taking a train, a mass transit train. But not much. I would say, just thinking on it, that probably it's around $15 per person when I go in August on both Mears and Sunshine Express. I'm taking Mears to the resort and Sunshine back from the resort just so I can kind of compare the two, see what they're like. And I think they were each about $15 a piece or per person each way. So that would be like $30 to my resort for my son and I. And the cost of the train ride to Denver, I think, was $22. So a little bit more. Now, here's the thing though, with the bus, with taxis, you have door-to-door service with those sort of services, with shuttle buses and taxis. Took me right to the hotel. It takes you right to the hotel. With the train, I did have to walk. I had to walk about 10 minutes. So there's that trade-off. Hotels are going to be the next thing I book, and usually pretty early, as long as I can cancel or change them, which I did need to. In this case, with Denver to San Francisco, I changed not just one, but both of my hotels. At the end of the day, I did. In each case, when I first booked these hotels, my first initial thought was, hey, let's put it close to the train station. And both hotels were like across the street from the train station. Both looked like excellent hotels. I thought I'd get off the train, I walk across the street, I'm home, right? My short-term home, I'm there. The one in Emeryville looked great. It was right, like just a short walk from the bay, a couple of blocks from the bay. It had a beautiful, like a rooftop deck and pool, and the place itself was new. It was new and quite nice, right? But the more I thought about both of those hotels, sure, it was going to be really convenient to get from the train to the hotel. But the very next day, it was going to be wildly inconvenient to get from the hotel to anything else I was planning to do. In the case of Emeryville, I wanted to go into San Francisco every day. And that's kind of a commute during rush hour. I was going to be going from Emeryville, trying to take the BART or a cab or a bus or whatever I could figure out to take over to downtown San Francisco. That didn't make any sense. So I did quickly switch my hotel to downtown San Francisco. And in Denver, it was the same way. Even though it was convenient to Union Station, the train station, it was a long walk. Now, they have a bus in Denver. I cover that in my review of Denver, but they do have a kind of connector bus, and it's free, and it's hop on and off from Union Station all the way down to the convention district. They do. I did not know that when I changed the hotel. I probably still would have changed it. I love the hotel I ended up choosing. But I decided to change and pick a hotel more centrally located to the 16th Street Mall, a lot closer to the things and places I was going to be doing on foot. But that said, after the fact, yeah, there is a bus that runs that length of that mall, makes it quite easy to get back and forth. Keep that in mind. Sometimes what seems like the best hotel at first, when we're first booking something, upon reflection and really looking at it, does make a difference. It does make a bigger difference than we might think. And I urge everyone to pull up a map. So easy nowadays online. Pull up a map, pull up Google Earth, pull up something. Look around your hotel. What restaurants are there? What points of interest are there? What cultural attractions are there? That does make a difference, especially food. Let me tell you, are there a lot of places to walk to eat by your hotel? Are they good? Do they have good reviews? You don't necessarily have to make a reservation. And on this trip, I made no reservations to eat. We just winged it. It was great every single time. There were plenty of places to eat. Never had to wait. But I definitely looked at it in advance. Like, what is around there? Sometimes when you're traveling, not this time, it was light till later in the evening. Sometimes when you're traveling in a city center and it gets dark, it can get a little uncomfortable if you're someone from the Midwest, from a smaller town, and you're walking around in this big city. You might feel a little anxious. No, I didn't in my case, and I usually don't. But it was daylight the whole time, but even still, it's great. Look and see what's around your hotel to eat. You're not going to have any trouble walking half a block to your hotel. I say that. I hope you don't have any trouble. I didn't have any trouble. I never had any trouble at all in San Francisco. That's coming up in my video. San Francisco was a beautiful city, and there were less homeless people there than there are in Oklahoma City downtown. But that's a whole nother video. But pull up a map, look and see what's there, and then make a decision. Am I going to keep this hotel or am I going to change it someplace a little bit closer to everything I want to do? I'll add here at the end that when I'm booking a hotel, I typically do start off on someplace like Expedia.com. Everybody knows it, right? I typically do start off there. I do. But once I find someplace I'm interested in, if it's a big corporate hotel like Hyatt or Hilton or something like that, Marriott, you'll hear those names come up in my reviews a lot. I'm going to go to their site and check their price directly, especially since I'm a member to pretty much every single major corporate hotel in America, and you should be too. You're going to get a better rate when you stay at their properties, and there are sometimes other minor perks that come along, like maybe free bottled water in your room or free Wi-Fi in your room, things like that. So I do highly recommend it. It's free to join their membership programs. Well, at least still, it's free. America, please keep that. And it's so easy to sign up. You can usually do it as part of the booking process and then get that discount on that room. Now, that said, even though I check, sometimes Expedia is still cheaper than the actual hotel website. I know it's rare, but it does happen. And I don't always want to stay at a corporate hotel. Sometimes if I find a great, smaller, more boutique, more local hotel, I'm going to stay there. And you can book a lot of those in. You can also book kind of like B&Bs, like bed and breakfasts, Airbnb type places on Expedia now. If I'm going to book something like that, I'll just do it through Expedia. And I've done that, recently quite a bit. Down in Houston, especially, some great historic properties down there being used for lodging, for going on a cruise. And so I will use Expedia for that, but it does not bother me one bit to research on Expedia and then book on the corporate hotel's website. The last thing I'm going to typically do is look into things to do. I already touched on that. Pull up a map. See what's there. Once you look at a map, look online for the top 10 list of things to do. Right? What's the top 10 things to do in Denver? Not just for a family, not just for a single, not just for kids or whatever, for everybody, Just because it says for kids doesn't mean you're not going to have a great time doing it. Just because it says it's for singles doesn't mean you're not going to have a great time doing it. Look up these top 10 lists, look what's there, read the reviews, see what it's about, and say, hey, that sounds really cool. Let's go check that out. I will always look that up. One thing I usually check too. Now I know what it is. Don't laugh. Great Line Tours. I know, or their equivalent in whatever city you may be in. Yes, I know it's a canned tour. I know it's a charter bus tour. I know that. I know it's not perfect, and you're going to walk away from that site wishing you had more time. But let me tell you this right here, right now. I am not. I don't care if the apocalypse is coming. I don't care if Godzilla shows up in that city. I'm not renting a car and trying to drive out of a strange foreign city, even if that foreign city's in my country. Okay, I'm not going to drive through San Francisco. I would be insane to try to drive through San Francisco. I'm terrified of bridges. I can't even imagine trying to get across the Golden Gate. And have you ever seen the road that gets to the Muir Woods? It's a death trap. It's a death trap. I might as well just drive the car off the cliff myself. Why even bother trying to get there? Do the first cliff. It's less, distance to the bottom. So I go with a charter tour. They know the route. They've driven it a lot. Hopefully they have. Probably more than I have. That's for sure. And it gets you there quickly and easily. Plus, with a car, gas is expensive. Parking's impossible. And expensive, both. And what am I going to do? Try to drive my car across downtown San Francisco? There's no place to park when I get it there anyway. Only place it's going to sit is at my hotel, like my luggage. So I do go with Gray Line Tours. I've always had a good luck with them. They're a great tour line, at least so far. Again, I'm not sponsored by them or Hyatt or Marriott or anything else. I've always found them to be good, very professional. I had a great time. Again, that's coming up in a separate video, but I did have a great time. I'll look into stuff like that. So I'll look up local tours. Segway tours are another big one that are fun. Great way to get around downtown. See some points of interest. See some sites of interest. Check with your hotel. If there's a carriage that does it. When I was in Galveston one Christmas, there was a guy with a horse and a carriage. And even though he had technically closed down for the evening, we didn't know this. We were just talking to the person at the front desk, and they're like, hey, let me call and see if he'll come. And we were kind of like, no. If he's closed, he's like, nah. He owns it. He owns the horse. He owns the carriage. Let me call him. Sure enough, he showed up. Gave us a fantastic carriage ride, open carriage ride through the historic Victorian district of Galveston, Texas, which is beautiful. All decorated for Christmas, and filled us in on some of the lore of the area. That's another great type of tour to look up. Do they have those? Great. Book it. Do it. It's a load of fun. That's what I'm going to look into next. And like I said, museums. How much is museum? Sometimes if you buy the ticket in advance online, you'll get a discount on a museum. Sometimes if you're going to go to several museums, look up for a city pass or a museum pass. Something that gets you into 12 different museums. You're not going to 12. I know that. But if the cost of the pass is only $5 more than the cost of one museum, then go ahead and get the pass. And don't forget, just because you're in another city doesn't mean you have to limit yourself to just cultural activities. My son and I on our last trip, we went and saw a movie. We went and saw Doctor Strange. We're going to see, is there a major metroplex nearby? A lot of downtowns do have those, 10 screens in the heart of the city. All the major films showing. You might want to check out a smaller theater at a museum. My own Oklahoma City, one thing they did right, there is a small theater attached to our art museum downtown that oftentimes shows great sort of independent films, really, really cool. And my son and I also played miniature golf in downtown San Francisco. So why not do some miniature golf? That's also a load of fun. Look up things like that. Don't get too bogged down into history and education and culture. Remember, it's a vacation. It's supposed to be fun. Now, after all that, the vacation is pretty much booked and done. Does that mean it never changes? Absolutely not. It is a living thing, and it evolves for almost every single day until I arrive on the ground, and sometimes even then, my plans might change, and I might do something different. And I did, in fact, in San Francisco. So the thing is, watch videos, look online, talk to your friends. I have a wide client base. I always tell them where I'm going, not just where I've been, but where I'm going. Because you never know when someone's been there first, when someone has gone there first, and they are happy to share that information with you. Pick their brains, find out, even if all they can remember was, it was like this, museum, and it had cars in it, and trains, and they don't remember nothing else except that it was great, and it's stuck in their memory because it was great, go plug it into a search engine, San Francisco Museum, Cars and Trains, see what pops up. Even if it's not what they did, hell, it might be good. Read the reviews. If it's got 5 stars all over the place and everybody loved it, give it a shot. So yeah, it'll continue to change, continue to grow. That's why you book hotels you can cancel and change. That's why you book Southwest Airlines, where you can change your flight without a fee. That's why you don't book those activities like museums and stuff unless you can change them. Wait, usually they usually don't sell out anyway. And I hope in the meantime that you found this information helpful and informative and at least a little bit entertaining. And I invite you to please hit like, subscribe, and notify for future travel videos. And until then, thanks for watching.